attempted murder of 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey, her family had a chance to address her killer in a Florida courtroom.
On April 19th, 2023, the body of Tristyn Bailey, a 13-year-old girl, was found brutally murdered in cold blood in a wooded area in St. Johns County, Florida. She died from being stabbed and slashed 114 times. The killer? 14-year-old Aiden Fauci. Arrested on May 10th following a Snapchat message by Fauci showing him in the backseat of a patrol car taking a selfie and holding up a peace sign, ultimately leaving a clue to the investigators searching for the missing Bailey. But as the investigation progressed, many questions started to emerge. What really happened on the night of May 9th? What led a 14-year-old high school mate to commit such a cruel and atrocious murder? One that sent shockwaves into the heart of society. Imagine being outside in the woods at night, surrounded by darkness and silence. The moon reflecting to the earth, giving you just enough light to see your next step. You feel terrified, but you're with someone you trust. Or so you thought. Your friend lures you deeper, and in a dark turn of events, he turns on you and stabs you 114 times. This was the case for 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey, who was last with 14-year-old Aiden Fucci, walking together in the Durbin Crossing neighborhood after 1 a.m. on May 9, 2021. The next day, she was reported missing by her family, and not long, a missing person report was filed. But tragically, Bailey's body was found later that day in the nearby woods. An autopsy revealed Tristan had cut wounds around her head, neck, shoulders, arms, hands, and back. Before we continue further, we'd like to share our deepest condolences to the loved ones of Tristyn Bailey. Our hearts go out to the Bailey family for the tragic loss of their beloved Tristan. Please accept our deepest sympathies. Tristyn Bailey. Born on January 18, 2008, Tristyn Bailey was a 13-year-old resident of Jacksonville, Florida. Tristan attended Patriot Oaks Academy, and she was a member of her school's competitive cheerleading team. She was the baby of the family, being the youngest of Stacy and Forrest Bailey's 5 children. Together, they called themselves the Bailey Seven. Tristan was described as a hardworking, dedicated, ambitious, and talented young girl. She was well-liked and had so many friends, and it was for a good reason, for she was very kind-hearted and was always the one who saw the best in others. Her classmate Aiden, however, was a different story. Aiden Fauci. According to those who knew him, Aiden Fauci, or as he's known around the world, the teenager monster, was an oddball. While his teacher noted that Aiden showed them respect and never outwardly caused trouble, his hatred for authority and arrogance was off-putting. Through his school life, he would land himself in suspensions, usually after getting into fights with his classmates. Aiden also allegedly threatened to throw a female student out of the window. But this isn't high school rebellion. Something was wrong with this 14-year-old boy. Aiden had an unnatural obsession with murder, frequently discussing the topic with his friends. According to those who knew him, he often talked about his deep desire to feel what it would be like to kill another human being. He often talked about how he would do it. He suggested he would walk around at night until he would spot someone walking alone. He would drag the person into a wooded area and stab them, and then he'll pretend he didn't so he could continue killing. But as chilling as Aiden's thoughts and words were, no one could have predicted just how far he was willing to go. For years, he had fantasized about taking another person's life, dreaming of the power and control that would come with such an act. And unfortunately, on the night of May 9th, 2021, Aiden's twisted desires finally became a reality. That was the night that Tristyn Bailey, a bright and beloved 13-year-old girl, was brutally taken from this world. In the woods. On the night of May 8th, 2021, Tristan was on a video chat with a boy in a baseball cap. This boy convinced her to come and hang out in Trey's house. This was one of Aiden's friends. After an hour together, Aiden and Tristan left Trey's house. Between 1:24 and 1:45 a.m., neighborhood surveillance cameras caught them walking toward a cul-de-sac at the end of the street. This was the last time Tristan would be seen alive. Aiden lured Tristan into the wooded area and murdered her in cold blood by stabbing her 114 times. The murder happened exactly how he suggested. He lured someone into the wooded area and stabbed them. At 3:27 a.m., the same surveillance video catches Aiden running home, holding his shoes. He got home and hid all the evidence, thinking he has gotten away with murder. The investigation. On a day meant for celebrating mothers, May 9th, 2021, Tristan's family was met with a gut-wrenching realization that their daughter had not returned home from the night before. They immediately filed a missing persons report with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office at 10 a.m., which sprang into action by issuing an urgent missing persons alert. As investigators scoured through every possible lead, they summoned everyone who knew Tristan for questioning, including Aideen Fucci, who had been one of the last people to see her alive. Aiden's testimony was far from convincing. His timeline of events just didn't add up. It took him 2 hours to return home from a 30-minute walk, and his claim that Tristan had been seen hanging out with a 20-something-year-old drug dealer was dismissed by everyone else questioned. But the case took a shocking turn when authorities received an email containing a Snapchat screenshot that Aiden had posted while in a patrol car. In the post, Aiden took a selfie with a peace sign, and the text read, "Hey guys, have anyone seen Tristan lately?" One of his classmates replied, reminding him that he was the only one who knew what happened to her. The next post was a video implying that Tristan was alive and was faking her death, and that he'll be chilling in a cop car if she came out. However, by 6 p.m., Tristan's body was discovered near a retention pond at the end of Saddlestone Drive, south of Jacksonville. Aiden was immediately brought in for questioning and confronted by his parents. Despite being told that Tristan was dead, Aiden didn't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. Further questioning led Aiden to admit that he had kissed Tristan and that his DNA was on her. He claimed that Tristan refused to go home, got aggressive, and grabbed him, prompting him to push her down and tell her to go home before walking away. But as the investigation continued, authorities raided Aiden's home, uncovering key pieces of evidence, including an empty knife sheath, wet Nike shoes with blood on them, a blood-stained t-shirt, and wet blue jeans that had traces of blood and dirt. Perhaps even more disturbing, authorities found a notebook filled with violent and satanic drawings, providing a troubling glimpse into Aiden's mind. Aiden Fauci was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, which was later upgraded to first-degree when the extent of Tristan's wounds became clear. But the arrests didn't end there. Aiden's mother was also arrested on charges of evidence tampering and advising her son to lie about what he wore on the night of Tristan's murder. Thanks to surveillance video in their home, Crystal Lane Smith, Aiden's mom, was caught washing the same bloody blue jeans that authorities had found. The sentence. Just before jury selection was set to begin on February 2023, Aiden Fauci changed his plea to guilty, likely as a strategy to reduce his sentence. However, this tactic ultimately failed him, because on March 24th, the judge ruled that his crime, which lacked motive and was committed solely to cause harm to another human being, was worthy of a life sentence in prison.
Guilty to the crime of first-degree murder, I adjudicate you guilty of the premeditated first-degree murder of Tristyn Bailey. I sentence you to life in prison.
Many have questioned why Fauci was tried as an adult, but the severity of his crime was simply too great to ignore. State Attorney R.J. Lariza revealed during the trial that Fauci's knife had been found in a nearby pond, with the tip of the blade broken off and discovered by the medical examiner inside Tristyn Bailey's body during the autopsy. Larissa explained, "The bottom line is that premeditation could be inferred, certainly from just the sheer number of stab wounds that Tristyn Bailey had suffered. To say that it was horrific would arguably be made as an understatement." Larissa cited Fauci's case as first-degree murder for many reasons, including the sheer weight of his crimes. The death penalty was not an option since Fauci was not yet 18 years old at the time of the murder. The Aiden Fucci murder case is an unfortunate event that has left many reeling from shock and grief. However, amidst the sorrow, there are crucial lessons to learn from this tragedy. First and foremost, the importance of mental health cannot be understated. Aiden exhibited warning signs and red flags that should have been addressed before he committed the heinous crime of murdering Tristyn Bailey. Secondly, the dangers of unchecked violence and aggression are evident. Aiden's history of violent behavior and threats toward others should have been taken more seriously, and this failure to address his violent tendencies may have contributed to his terrible act. Lastly, the profound impact of violence cannot be overlooked. Tristyn was only 13 years old when her life was brutally taken away, leaving her family, friends, and community devastated. The tragic outcome of this case underscores the need for individuals and communities to work together to create safer and more peaceful environments for everyone. Aiden's actions not only robbed Tristyn of her life, but also left a lasting impact on those who knew and loved her. Let us learn from this tragedy and work together to prevent similar atrocities from happening in the future.